Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Irving Arts Center's Lunch and Learn program. My name is Marcy Inman. I'm Director of Exhibitions and Educational Programs here at the Arts Center. And our guest speaker for today is Chau, who is a well-known and well-regarded and acclaimed Dallas-based ceramic installation artist and also a community arts activist who has so graciously served as this year's awards judge for the Irving Arts Center's 24th annual Art Connection Members Show, currently on exhibit in our main and focus galleries through November 9th. And for those unfamiliar with the Art Connection program at the Arts Center, it is our membership program in support of the visual arts. And every year we organize an exhibition that is open to all of our members, students, non-professional, and professional artists. This annual highlight featuring artwork by individuals of all ages and levels of experience hung side by side in our galleries, and a reception held on the opening weekend, free and open to the public, offers a very special and unique opportunity for all of us to celebrate the power of art to connect us and to build a stronger community. I hope that all of you will take the opportunity to view the show, pick up an Art Connection membership brochure, and learn more about the Irving Arts Center. So back to our very special speaker for this afternoon. Chau was recently named as one of this year's art influencers by Patron Magazine, one of 9 individuals recognized for their exceptional leadership, creativity, and contributions to the art community. He is the co-founder of the Goldmark Cultural Center, a renovated office complex that now provides affordable studio space to more than 170 visual artists. And he is also the 2024 recipient of the prestigious Moss Chumley North Texas Artist Award. The Moss Chumley Artist Award is given annually to an outstanding North Texas artist who has exhibited professionally for at least 10 years and has established a proven track record as a community advocate for the visual arts. Chau's presentation today will provide a close look at and discussion of some of the award-winning artwork he selected from this year's Art Connection Members Show, as well as some information on his own background and artistic body of work. We are recording today's presentation, and Du's talk will be available to view on the Arts Center's YouTube channel in the next 2 to 3 weeks. As always, there is time allotted for Q&A after his talk. Please raise your hand to speak, and a microphone will be passed to you. The microphone is necessary so we can capture the audio of all your comments and questions on the recording. So without further delay, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Chau.
Well, thank you, Marcy, for the wonderful introductions. I think for my talk, hopefully you can hear me okay. Yeah. So I kind of coming into looking at the work, and it's very challenging looking at all the artwork. It's a very strong show altogether overall, and it is very. I think I'm just look at the work and ponder how I picked the work to giving the awards. So I'm routinely do my homework, and I love the themes about celebrating communities. And I think all the artists in the exhibition are to me, they are all winner because you have to be very gifted to, it's a gift to be participant, because without all of you participating, that won't be a strong exhibition. So for me, and then my challenge was, okay, now how am I going to, what criteria that I'm looking into? I won't talk all these criteria, but I list, so I routinely have a set of criteria, how I'm looking intensively and evaluate the works. So I'm looking at, I won't go over the whole list, but for me, I routinely look through craftsmanship, material process and materials, ideas, and how the overall concepts? Are there innovations? How overall impact? Presentation. Does the work being framed? I look at all the fine detail of the presentation, and then least but not last, personal taste. That's something I cannot avoid because it's some of the things that we grow up, and I'm hoping to visiting museum, travel as many museum and galleries as I can, so that way I can look at the work and be very openly and be fair to how I judge. So being one of those personal tastes, and I think is like how you're influenced by your personal experience and emotions, and how I look at the work. But at this exhibition, I'm looking many of the work. I kind of walk away and still ponder some of the pieces and have a conversation with the works. So the piece I select, I felt like I still continue to have that conversation with the artworks. So if I'm looking at the artwork when the two pieces perfectly strong, how do I decide the winners? So then I will go to the second category, right? How I judge is I'm looking through, since the theme was giving to me the aspect of communities. So for me, the communities, I will look at sustainability. What's the material used? I mean, if the artist using fine materials, that definitely interests to me. Thinking about how the environments as a community. So because I think it's important for us to think about how the water use, how the environment, the climate change, the local identities, how looking at the work, the positive impacts. I like to looking at artworks have uplifting and happy. So if I may have compared two strong work, I might tend to go toward the more the happy work. So I'm kind of tend to like to have work that bring me to a different experience. So how does a work inclusivity, the diversity, interactivities, how that I can interact with the work. Most of all, I find that artwork, even if whichever country we from, the design are universal. So if you have good designs on the work, it shows. That doesn't matter who you are, what country you're from. If the work is strong, with the composition, with the elements of design, you will see it is a strong piece of work. So that's no. So for me, that's how my brain works. So I'm looking at the work. I won't be using this criteria anymore. I just start out with a few examples to show you what I'm thinking, my thought process. So this is the youth group. You're talking about the youth group 17 years old and under. So for me, my challenge is, okay, I have to think about if they are much younger, that master of skill may not have as strong as the professional when you compare to the professional or the non-professional. But I was so impressed looking at the work for the youth group. It was so dynamic and so many pieces so strong that I was just like, wow. I mean, how do you not pick the piece to be the winner? And then the challenge is that, wow, there's so many pieces. So I'm looking at these pieces like by these young ladies, Alec York. I'm looking at, I'm grateful to Marcy send me all these imageries. And I saw some imagery of it's so wonderful to connect the face of the artist with the artwork. And I kind of looking at her, I said, wow, she had this very similar characteristic of her facial expressions, how she was doing this piece of work. And the scale too, for those of you using color pencil, it's not easy. It's not something that you can just scribble a pencil. To capture the details of the expression of almost like, it felt like this almost autobiographical. And what pondering me also with how the piece is composed, compositionally, how do you think about what is real or what is true? What is the shadow? What is so it's her shadow as real as herself, the reflection in that. So it made me ponder to look at the piece and ponder. So I thought that was absolutely a stunning work to me to not giving a prize to as a first winner piece. So now for this piece, for another youth piece, thinking about using coffee as a medium. That's a very innovative. How many of you seen work that suddenly I have no artists using tea, coffees, and other medium? But having coffee is very interesting. Thinking about how do you really use a fresh coffee or do you use a leftover coffee? Or you ask to. So I'm kind of have to think through the logic and how this young lady picking using this work. And to me also, I probably won't talk a lot more because after a while I would go through a whole hour just not even through all the. I can come back and talk more about the piece if you are really, really into and want to know the depth of the thought that I'm thinking. But just thinking about, I have my own personal story into the piece also. Making an artwork have open interpretation. So when you have open interpretation, everyone can read into how you interpret the works are so dynamic. So for me, this equally, even though I picked this young lady for the second place, for me, the second and the first is very blur in the line of how you pick the work, So this is a very dynamic piece. This is another piece that is such dynamic, titled Best Friends. And as I walk into the gallery, you think about, okay, this is a young lady. She's using watercolor and gouache. What a talent with a young lady who can capture the expression. To me, when I first look at it, I said, I need to follow, if I'm looking at Mona Lisa, how the gaze of the eyes are moving. I said, I need to follow this piece to see where I walk and see if she just keep looking at me. And suddenly she does in a way that I thought, wow, that's a very dynamic piece. So when I walk into it, I just don't think about it. I said, wow, that's a prize piece to me without even hesitation. I work with watercolor and gouache, but knowing it, wow, the layer of transparency, the layer of opacity for gouache, and the combination and how it creates the dynamic of the portraits. So for me, this is a youth group. And so I picked these three. I keep on thinking, oh, I have more pieces I want to pick because there's so many good pieces, and I can keep going and talking about how this group of our young artists that is almost like they are master artists with this young group, with that age group, and I hope that they can continue making art because if they start with being this young age and can create these dynamic works, we really are hoping that there's parents out there hoping that they can keep encouraging them to keep working. This is an honorable mention piece. Knowing the scale is teeny, this small, just a dynamic, small acrylic, just thinking that, the title is exactly what I felt like, timeless. Any one of our can go back to our youth and could our connect with that age group when you are at that age. So for me, that was almost like a piece I want to take home. If I have to walk in and say, it's just a small scale. You don't take out a small space. So making artwork, the scale does make a difference. Sometimes we think bigger is better. Sometimes the small of the scale could be as equally potent and dynamics. So I thought this is a really, really dynamic pieces. So I can keep going with the youth group, but I feel like I need to move on because I can keep going too. You all need to go out and see the work, because without seeing it, it's just a hard work. The imagery is you won't be able to see the like this piece right here. So I'm going to the non-professional category. So for the non-professional, you can see this piece take me into a lot of thinking with Jason think, where does it end? It take me back into how in Asian, how in African, how we hunt down the elephants using for the ivory. And sometimes when I go look at the purse, like what the things they use, like the bags, the wallets, the things, if I know, I hope that we are very conscious what is being used to say buy it or not. So sometimes I tend to go more of the environment friendly, and also for the cruelty for being killing an animals for the things we need is quite too much for us. So I kind of felt like this piece take me into, I mean, I can go into the whole dynamic talking about porcelain, the text clay body, the craftsmanship, the hierarchy of how human and animals, and also thinking about our humans is actually biological animals. We are no different. So we often don't think about it. We are actually biological animals. So we need to be more conscious about, for what. So this piece speak to me with multiple level. And I thought I may forget what I want to say. So I thought, well, I take some notes, and on my PowerPoint presentation, I thought that some notes would be helpful if you want to interested reading or not. So I picked this non-professional as the first place. This piece is a special prize award, and I felt like, wow, I was looking at the piece. I mean, wow, that being mean that's full of symbolism, full of complex of so much biological, biographical of who this person is, Lucas, and how that deep introspection into a very aspect of life. And I didn't want to, I thought, well, I said, oh, maybe I put some notes in there because I can keep going and going with all the different symbolisms using with the piece, because I felt like it just, the one thing that at first this piece captured my attention, first thing is the material use. It's a recycled cardboard. So it's a beautiful piece, but it's cardboard that you can find recyclable. And many of the elements, the attention to details, the thought behind them. So I know it's nothing. I just like when I walk into and see a piece like that, thinking about the environment, I said, wow. I just picked the piece without hesitation, So this is another piece I thought that was a very strong piece. This piece is almost like I picked the piece because I routinely don't think much of abstract art, but sometimes I'm open to abstract because abstract can take us to a different level of thinking. And I also love titles of the work. So if any of you as a working artist, you keep putting titles, I think it's a time to change, to think through what are you making? What are you making as the title of the work can tell us so much about the work. Many times a student might have asked, how did I even think of a title for my artwork? And I told one of my students, I said, if we all now, this day we talk on the phone a lot, we go into social media. If you can talk to someone about your work without having they see your work, and you keep talking and you take down all the notes, you talk about your pieces, the title will just right be in front of you. So I'm looking at these pieces more of the artists have worked through a kind of microscopic level. And I'm thinking of the piece in a macroscopic level, and how we are all connected with little dots. How the community are connected or not connected. It's just this little dot, and how this little dot is this fluidity of the flow of the communication. How the misunderstanding or miscommunication is simply we don't talk. We simply just text or thinking that just a few texts or just the way. So I felt like if you have questions sometime, or if you have family member, I don't know how many of us even text each other even with a family member without even talking. You forget how beautiful it is when you talk, you're using that expression. You won't be able to know how that person feels without hearing them with that tonality. So for me, again, I picking this is non-professional piece categorized, but I also felt like I sometimes when you have the two pieces together, I felt like they are also more like a diptych. Pretty much the two pieces are connect to each other, but I pretty much just pick the piece. This is another non-professional pieces that I thought non-professional and categorized. Again, I felt like just using the farm materials, the branches. So when we think about branch, what do you think? I also love the title of the piece, Family Dynamics. It's like how do we? So this is a whole family thing. The branch on the trees, the string represent that relationship and interaction of how that interaction. So this piece is more of that language, more but abstract, and I love the piece of how it open for interpretation. So that the open up interpretation take us to the use of positive, negative space, the fragility. That's how life is, the fragility of the work. And I don't know how the artist will bring the piece to show, because thinking that, on the way you might break a branch, or how that is pretty much the metaphor to life. Really, our life is just that fragile. It is that how many days that you drive on a road, you never know you get to go home because the craziness of daily accidents. So I think this piece actually that I select for non-professional, it take me to that place. So now we could come to the professional piece work. Professional work is very hard to me, or challenging in a way, because for me, many times I'm judging many of the work that giving the prize. I try to block out the names and not looking at the artist. I'm actually really good about blocking out. I didn't even know who this piece was when I gave the prize to. Until a friend of mine called me up. Do you know who you give the prize to? I said, who? So it's very interesting. So by all honesty, I have no idea who this artist is when I pick the piece for the prize. And so what I'm looking at the oil on canvas, you can the imagery here does not do justice to the work, because it's the scale. It's the oil painting monumental scale. I love the level of abstraction. When I mean the level of abstraction, is because either you can just paint as realistic as you can paint. If you do abstraction, you have to know that level of abstraction, what take it to complete the whole painting. And so for me, when you look at a branch of the oak tree, just a branch, even just simply how the climate change, how crazy the heat right now in the hot summer, making me thinking. But yet, the artist able to convey the idea of how, looking at the piece, thinking of the piece is beautiful, but yet in reality, when you look in there, feeling the heat of the climate in Texas, I definitely felt the piece, and knowing how well is if you look at the piece in person, how well it's being painted, the perspective of the space and the openness, it takes you to see the work in whatever the dynamic, however you want to interpret it. So for me, thinking about the community, thinking about we all need to be conscious about our how we use waters, how we take care of the planets. So that will bring us to the next stage. Without thinking about that, you can see years after years, the heat, the craziness, the temperatures. We have to be really, really realizing that where are we going? Where are we heading? So it takes me to think about that. Wow, I was looking at this piece. I can spend an hour talking about this piece I'm picking. So I'm looking at, because artwork is a foreign language. Yet now you have your phone. You can tie in the days. You can tie in the title. You can tie in or looking at things. You can see how much information is giving you. And so it's up to you to decide what is real, what is a true, and what is not. But thinking about this, for me, I'm first looking at the work as compositionally created, really, really chaotic background with the color, and yet the using the imagery, the lines are so architecturally. That organic and geometry just give me a punch, hitting me to the scale of the piece also. So you may see this small scale, but looking at the scale of the piece, thinking about, wow, so the piece is July 18. How many of you know what July 18 is for that day? But when you think about it, wow, that is Nelson Mandela's International Days. He's my hero. What am I thinking about? How he's talking about everyone has the ability and the responsibility to change the world for the better. How he quotes some of the work is all about, to him, is about how we make the difference in your community. So he's all about that. So obviously there's more work as dynamic as equally dynamic as this piece next to it that I can see. So that's how I do it. So now I have two strong pieces. How am I going to pick? So that is what the research come in. I pick the work, and I think this piece connect to what I believe that celebrate the communities. To me. So that's what I pick. And I'm not going into the number. You can even go into every single number to dissect, into analyze into the layers of meanings are equally as dynamic about the work. At first I'm looking at this work right here. I said, wow, who would be painting leaves after leaves with canvas non-stop, and I keep looking at with the scale, with the two pieces next to each other. I felt like, wow, it does. I think we tend to do everything in a hurry this day. We try in a hurry. Obviously, I talk in a hurry really quickly. so no one probably understand, because if I slow down, everyone say, okay, keep going. And have you all and I have a professor. He said, Uncle, do you know you can speed up 2 times, 3 times what the video is showing? I said, is that right? so that's how we are listening to lecture right now. Believe me, no different from my lecture today. You can just speed up and fast forward. But the looking at this painting that I give the third place to, I felt like it's something about very calm and meditative, about seeing, making art repetition repeatedly. Repetition is a way of life, a will to live. I think it's a will to live, doing things repetitionally over and over. So I remember have many moments in my life that come to many challenge. I using making work with my hand repeatedly, or sometimes I get confused what I need to do. I using my hand to making piece in clay over and over and over again, to that point that confusion will become clarity, and it just the light bulb will blink. That's how making art is to me. It's just a repetition. So this is all the 3 category professional. So then, even more challenging than anything else is how do you give a prize of the best of show? It's crazy that I'm putting into this position that I find it is just overall, there is many pieces I can pick to be best of show. So I think this somehow this piece come in. Why I picked the piece? Obviously, very in a way more personal level, because I can read into the piece with multiple story that I can talk into. More than anything else, if you do look at this, is the porcelain, and you can see the fish is cracked. There's so much crack inside the fish, and it made me think about, again, think about the environments. Think about how many times that you go to the store that you want a piece of salmon. It's farm-raised salmon. How many times that you can find that it become more rare and rare to find wild catch. Pretty soon, if we don't take care of our planets, everything will be farm-raised. There won't be anything that you can catch any more fish. And this is it's the facts of life. If you're talking about fishermen, in the past, they talk about how it's getting harder now. They used to catch so many fish in one day. Now they can spend one day and get very minimal for what they can catch. It's because that's really true, because we're not taking care of what we're taking care of our environments, our climates. So the craftsmanship of level, knowing the material, porcelain, the thinness, the translucency is not easy to work with, but to capture everything together, I pick the piece. Why I pick the piece? For the material, for the process, the idea, the whole overall concepts of the piece that I come to picking this piece. So I'm actually paused now, and I know I can keep on. I already passed my 30 minutes, so I was saying that I'm going 30 minutes for this. But if any of you want to stay and want to grab me to talk more about your piece, I'd be happy to do that. But I won't be. Or you can grab me and say, "Why you're not picking this piece?" I'm sorry. Please don't get upset at me. Because I think for me, I could pick everyone, so don't pick my piece. If you don't pick my piece, if I don't pick your piece, it's because there is, there are multiple level, the challenge. And I hope by talking about this piece, you can see my thought process when I'm thinking. If Marcy give me another a couple more hours, I may go back in and see a few more pieces I can pick back, and that would not do the right things. But many of these pieces, when I pick them, if I go back, I still think about them. I still ponder. Now, I might have seen maybe there's many of the honorable mention pieces. Wonderful work. I think there's so much of the honorable mention that I won't have enough time to keep going, because I felt like there's so much dynamic that you take one person off, you can pretty much move the honorable mention to another top 3 prizes, which again, that's how my thinking process. So I'm switch over to talk about my work. I probably have lots of imagery. I did prepare style with my slide presentation with over 100 imagery. I dropped down into half. I keep dropping down 1/3 because after you make art for 25 years, you know that you're going to have so many stories to tell, so many places you visit to, source of inspirations where inspire me to do what I do. How to connect art with your life and vice versa. Life and art are so much connected. If you can connect what you make to what your life is, you can make the most dynamic work. You don't need people to judge you. You don't need people to critique your work, tell you which is good or not. You can pretty much say, I pretty much got to the point after I graduated getting my MFA at Alfred. I pretty much talk to myself in my studio. I pretty much not having a feedback anymore. With exception now and then, in social media, we all love to be liked. But knowing that it's very, very, very not quite true, because I think we all like you as a person, may not be your artwork, or the other way around. So I think that would be so. So for me, growing up in Vietnam, I cannot walk away who I am culturally. Knowing how putting the map there, showing you the scale of how the United States, the much monumental compared to the little Vietnam when you put in the map. So I'm talking about clarity or confusion is really true. I grow up. We live in our house is all about rice field. It's a farmer. So when I come to the state, I thought, why do we have a lawns? Why are we not having a rice field? Because I think it's more sustainable if you have a rice field, and then you can harvest twice a year and you will have rice, and then you can feed the whole world with rice. And why do you have lawns and you keep water your lawn and make everything so pretty? And so for me it's not very logical. But then you pretty much live in a culture, and slowly you learn to adapt and understand reason why we do what we do. So that's a question mark for me. That confusion about, oh wow, everyone have a lawns. So for me also, I kind of tend to make my work in that stage of repetition. The farmers just naturally get up in the morning. They go up, to early in the morning. They work in the field. So for me, the rice field, there's a picture that I took photographically, and in Vietnam that time, and just knowing how they did the way that they work. it's how do I repeat myself doing my work, making the rice or growing the rice, harvesting. So I'm making this through the inspiration for the rice field, the red field, and how you have the wine coming out. The end of those wine are this little porcelain piece that I'm making. So this is non-fire. So I'm thinking about this piece is porcelain self-drive clay, thinking that they won't survive because of wow. But the piece that they shown this year that they come back at Alfred is like wow. After 20 plus years, the piece still survive intact with clay that is not in fire. So I was very surprised to see how the piece is like this is more close to the replica of the true canvas. With the beauty of the rice field also. When I last time I went back to Vietnam, I realizing the whole country are changing over. They pretty much clean up all the rice field. The construction keep moving forward with all the buildings. So for me, the last time 20 years back, I can still get to the airport and walk down to the airport and I can smell the rice field. Now that's gone. The whole rice field are all completely, and people are more use less land space, heavy fertilizer. This is how pretty much this is how life is, which I don't like to admit that I want to see that happen. And so the beauty about the rice field to me that are no longer the beauty that I see 20, 30 years back. So the rice field, for what is so dynamic about the rice field is great grandmom. I will probably talk more about her. She that's her dream. Her thought is that when I die, make sure my body are being buried back to the rice field. And that idea that had hit on me is that, wow, is it really so having your body back to the rice field that you born into the lands? And pretty much I thought that really makes sense how things life are recycled. So that idea about the rice field are very dynamic to me. And slowly I'm working with lots of imagery of Vietnam using memory. So now I'm tend to be more of sure how I want to title my work. When I started years ago, I said, wow, I have to think very hard. I spent hours to think about each piece of work. How did I title them? But I thought if I start memory number 1 to memory number 52, one by one after the memory. By the time I got to number 52, 53, I lost myself. I said, no, I'm done. I think it's now I really need to be more concrete because now if you ask me, someone just called, talk to me on the phone. He said, do you still have the piece memory number 2? I said, oh my goodness, what is memory number 2? My memory is probably getting worse, or I have no idea what memory number 2 after. To think back 20 years ago, thinking about what is the memory. So having a concrete title to me this day are more sure things for me to remember my work and connect to my work than to have the memory number. So you can see this is a little bit older work. So I'm start thinking about this piece, start using title, April 4. So for those of you who didn't know what April 4 is, that is the month in 1975 when the country completely take over the North, take over the South, and everyone trying to get out of the country. We are taking during the Vietnam War, so the war finally stopped. But the end of the Vietnam War are the most challenging few years because now the war stopped. Of course, there's no killing, but then the scarcity of food, finding the food to eat is getting challenging. And the people are taking this lifeboat trying to get out of the country. They rather risk everything in their life to be able to find a better life. So April 4 is the time at that time of the years, there is so many boats floating out in the water. And there are more passengers than the capacity the boat can take. So people are singing all over. You have body all over. Just like how many. So it's very, that memory is very traumatic. I still feel like I can still see that imagery, but when I make the artwork, I try to make beautiful work, and that is my story. You may not see that in your story, then that's okay because I don't want to. There's no blood, no body pack, nothing like that in my work. It's just more of okay. I just want to use that conversation. So you can see I create that little vessel light just to create that remnants. Okay, now how do I become a scientist without even being an artist first? So, it's very interesting. Back then, my mom wanted to be a chemist, a scientist. That's her whole life. Do you want to do that? But because she's not giving, my my grandfather was saying, you are a girl. You're not going to school. You stay home and learn to cook. You need to. So I felt like it's mom is living through. So I felt like when I realized I've been told all those stories, and by not quite sure how that happened, I end up being a chemist, a clinical laboratory scientist, is what my mom always dreamed of being. So I felt like I complete what she could not complete through her son as being. But I was at one point the intensity of the lab, the challenging of the clinical medicine, it was so intense. I said, how did I get myself into this? And you wonder, I'm working 15 hours a day and I'm still here. But then when you think about you taking care of people's lives, you care for people, and it's all about patient care. If you can make a difference, so then you suddenly change your perception of how you do what you do. So that's how I get to be where I'm getting to be. In the personal level, when we talk about community, environmental, interactive, this is a town in Wellsville, which is several miles back from Alfred. And I usually start out when I first got to Alfred. I didn't know what I want to do. I paint a lot of paintings. Ongoing, I do painting. I do printmaking. I draw. I practically work on every possible medium there is for me. Mixed medium, fine elements. And then I thought, well, one thing I have not tried is being myself as an art, being performative art. So I actually doing a lot of performance art in New York also. So how do you sit in the window and carving a ceramic apples? How do you carve that apple to the point that how many hours did it take for me to finally peel an apples? Ceramic apples. So that also taking me to the idea about the body, the mind, the concept of repetition, the concept of more of, for me, when I'm working those pieces, it actually helped me to develop that artistic discipline. Being disciplined, sitting in the windows, 6 hours, 4 hours. How long can you sit to carve with the knife to peel an apple, ceramic apples? So you can envision that. But the interaction that I don't have an image of the interaction with the public, and I'm really pretty good about control myself. I didn't know how many times that I heard argument between the viewers saying, no, that's not human. That's a machine. That's a human. So you can have this. I said, if I laugh, I give it all away. so that idea about not peeling the apples and just do the same repeated motion, and just how you block yourself, that focus attention, that meditation, that actually helped me with my artwork later on for doing that performance. I'm also thinking a lot about the environments this day also, and I make a lot of work have to do with, this is a weeping willows, the white willows, and when you think about it, how you can transcend a willow into porcelain, into clay, into hanging on the wall. And so when I was at my challenge started, Alfred wanting to cast the thinner tree branch I can cast, realizing it never worked. I could never have a thin branch hanging off from the wall and still survive it. So it never survived. So I keep walking over time and nothing happened. Finally, I realizing I have to use wire. So those are the music wire that you see. So this is Liliana was doing performative. So my beginning piece is I want the work to be performative again. I want the work to be people to touch, to make music out of the pieces. So Liliana is playing with the work, which is wonderful. Until when you get your work into the gallery, they realizing, oh, how do people think if everyone starts touching? How the children's going to pull the piece off? It's like, no touching. So it defeats the whole purpose of how I want the work to be interactive, So what my thinking of interactive is no longer interactive when you get to the piece shown in the museum, the same thing. They put the sign next to it, do not touch. So that whole idea of how the work, let me see if I can play this video. Yeah, I don't think you can hear him, but it's just how that glancing through the porcelain, what the porcelain touch each other. So that's how my beginning stage, letting people touching the work, letting the piece work. So and then at the end of the tips of each piece, I have a drop of water. I use the resin to freeze up the water. It's almost like they capture the essence of how look like drop of water, but the resin I actually get what I need to do for the piece. My early work too, I've kind of run through this thinking about, so I work with hands for the last 25 years. So what do you do with your hands? How do you talk about the work with hands? So I think it took me almost like 8 or 10 years later before I realizing how does you take an element and transform that element into something more of a transformative art. So my hand become that openness, that four leaves, that hoops, how we have hoop with the open hands. So that is so I have hands hanging on the wall. So you can see how hand could be hanging. Then I repeat a lot of the pieces, also using doves. This piece is titled Foundation, how all the doves from large to small, and you can create a skeletal foundation of the piece. Now come back with my great-grandmom. She's actually the one who buried in the rice field that I went back to honor her in the rice field. And that's her. And I made several of the silk screen of her. You can see her. The imagery of her picture is completely from a small miniature photograph that I enlarged and recreate the whole piece. The flowers, in Vietnam, there's no such thing as yellow roses. I pretty much contrast finding I photograph the roses and somehow incorporate into the piece. And then I recreate the whole pieces and make then silk screen them, but change the color variation for each pieces. So that way, not every piece is the same, but they are layer of silk screen color to create that dynamic. So she's mom, grandmom, and great-grandmoms, they are all amazing because all their lifetime, all they think about is their spouse, their children. They never think about themselves. And so all of them look so much older than their age, and they never live. They all live till they are 60 years old. They never live past that age. My mom passed probably 62, and again because of the intensity of working and not taking care of herself or taking care of ourselves, and that would so for me, I have really great respect for many amazing women in my lifetime, and especially my great-grandmom. And when my grandfather said, no, mom could not be going to school, and my great-grandma would say, no, she needs to go to school, at least finish her high school. and not that. So you cannot. How do if you not at least finish in high school? How are you going to live your life being so they want, and culturally they want you to just be able to learn to cook, learn to clean, learn to take care of children, and then forget about everything else. But I'm really, really glad that mom had the education, because we would not have survived in Vietnam without her education to take care of all her children. Thinking that all she knows is cooking and cleaning. So mom actually self-taught herself. She is, when she finished high school, when she have a free moment, she will study calculus. She would think about geometry. She mapped everything out, and she self-taught herself all that. And then when I was at school, I was doing so well in math because my mom's always said, there's 3 different ways you can do this formula. Here, try it. So mom always can connect math to how we live every day. So if you can make that connection with math to what you do in life, same thing with art, you really much can hit it right on. And so math becomes so natural to me. I mean, in high school, I already finished all the calculus because thanks to mom, because that's how she does. Thanks to great grandmoms, so have that. So this is a piece about I have all this thinking about that dinner table, thinking about all this porcelain rice bowl. It's all cracked. They all have crack in it. Thinking about all these beautiful these flowers growing out of those crack on the bowl. So I'm thinking about how that intensity about I felt like if I'm going back in time, I think those hardship in my lifetime is important to make me who I am today, because I'm still felt like that that is something that I don't feel like that you can learn in any other way, but just going through those. But then I don't want any of this to happen to my the next generation, my niece and nephew and all that. I want them to be as happy as they can be, not going through that hardship. Finding food on the table is a challenge, growing up that way. So this is pretty much that idea of thought about books, the why coming out. I actually showed this here at UD, Universal Dallas. This is so dynamic how mom thing is. It's like, I don't want you to think about money. I want you to learn about everything you can learn when you grow up in Vietnam. Because he said that, this is a country, communists, they keep changing the Vietnamese money. As soon as you have money, your money is not worth anything more. But she said that if you learn to type, learn to read, learn whatever you learn, no one can take away from you. And that's what you all need to do. And that's when I'm little that I know, learning to. I'm pretty much by 8 years old, I already proficiency in the cooking of how the traditional Vietnamese dish that I have to train, learn to do, because with mom saying that. So when I got here, it's very. When I got here, 13 years old, so I skipped my grade 1st to 7th grade. When I got here, 7th grade, the first few weeks, it was just the teacher said, "Do you want to do a cooking demo for the class?" I said, "Okay." So that's my first demo, and the 13 years old come to the state with not knowing the language, pointing finger, talking about how I don't know how anyone can translate what I obviously I couldn't speak English when I'm here 13, so I obviously doing a demo without the language, and so being bigger. So I think that was something about. I remember reading at night. I'm reading. Someone can read a chapter in a few hours. It take me half a night to read a page, because I have to look through every single word in the dictionary, because I don't know any one of those words. But just to start out reading, start with ABC is already hard enough. But to compose the language and the meaning, searching for that was really, really interesting. And then on top of it, they said I need to learn Spanish as well. So when I got to high school, they said, "No, I speak Chinese, I speak I'm not quite proficient with English yet. still speak broken English. Then you want me to learn Spanish? I said, yes, you have to have 2 years of Spanish before you graduate from high school. But I realizing, I think Spanish is really easier to learn than English because I practically can read Don Quixote. For 2 years, I'm studying Spanish, the Santo Pancha. I said, wow, English is so much harder because we have no tense. Work tense. We is like, why do we have to have work tense? We can just use one. But now understand the language is actually it is what it's just nice to understand grammatically where the vocabulary everything put together. So this is the detail of the piece. This is the view of the beginning of the years when I have the show. That you can kind of get idea of the whole overall for the piece at the gallery at Texas A&M Commerce. Looking some of the piece on the floor, on the wall. It's just interesting to see how I think about how as a childhood memory, you only can connect with the final use, the harvest of the rice. Look nothing like this. But for a child's memory to recreate that into porcelain and why, to think through what you're thinking, obviously not anywhere close to when you see in the rice field, but it's the idea of the work. And you can see the fine detail. And it was very interesting. I showed these pieces. I was actually asked a month ago to recreate this piece in the modern at Fort Worth. So I drew up there to did this piece and one other pieces also at the modern. So I'm kind of run through some of the pieces. I thought this piece is like more like the. If I have to retire, it's like life is no rainbow or butterflies. It's like American dreams. So I feel like we have so much in this country. We're giving so much, I mean, I felt like, well, I hope, obviously I felt like we obtained mom and my parents' sacrifice. I felt like all our siblings obtained the dream that we originally started with the American. And obviously, I still want to work hard because, everything but at least if you are in America, if you work hard, you can make a living. If you work hard, you can earn the money that you need. And unlike our country, sometimes finding jobs is a scarce. Finding jobs is a challenge. So how do you not thinking that this is like heaven when living in America? We have more than you think we do. I mean, compared to compared to the many war zones, the people living in the wartime. That to me, to understand heavens and hells, I probably don't, but I can certainly see if you live through the war, living through the war with the war zone, this is like living in hell. And like living here right now is like heaven. How can we do, as much as we complain, we have so much. So we do so this is more of a feel like that I'm using that playing with color, playing with that American dreams, playing with the dynamic. I won't go into more detail. I probably will show you some of the pieces that I work with hand building, with porcelain. Barbara's right here. She's just posing for my pieces. Seeing the scale, thinking about how porcelain hang on the wall with the color. So I'm going to run through quickly with some of the traveling that I do. This is Colonel O'Muller Art Center. I can spend another hour talking about Chile, but we won't. I'm going to show you some imagery that some of the work that I make in Chile. Traveling, going overseas, making work different country is it's almost like you're learning everything all over again. Because the porcelain will not be the porcelain that you have in this country. What you used to make mold the plaster will be the different plaster that you used to know. So it's wonderful. So even with the wall, there's no such thing as dry wall. There is more like you cannot even drill in the wall. So you pretty much have to have collaborative with the engineer to pretty much create the template for your pieces, because you could not possibly drill, because it's more like is mason, or is it a concrete, or whatever those is like. Don't think about even my miniature jewelry drill won't even last to drill those holes, so thinking about the piece community, where make a piece of artwork involve the community, getting the community together to help you living the works into the community, like this, thinking about how do you make the piece and leaving the piece and Miller Art Center, the piece thinking about the density, just making the work in the soda kit. Nigeria is another one that I have in October the 31st. If you're ever going to Goma Culture Center, I'm actually will do a talk at 1 p.m. for about the Nigerian, the whole country overall, about the concepts of time, about the people, about the cuisine, about the thing, because we have a professor coming also in the same month in November. So I'm kind of for us to prepare a little bit about, I don't think, because when we have a visiting artist from another country, I said, this is not Nigeria, so you need to be on time. If we have a lecture at 1 o'clock, you cannot be there at 3 o'clock, So it's very quite fun to learn. I said, okay, when I got to Nigeria, the traffic was quite. I've actually been to a couple cities. So Nigeria is 36 states. We have 50. So I've been to a few states as we travel. They take me. Just being in the culture is pretty much some of the color, the people they do things very, very different than we do things. But I love the people, dude. They're such amazing people. But it's just the environment, how they brought up. That I probably won't talk more right now, but I'll probably leave that. So I end up my last destination with the University of Port Harcourt. And at University of Port Harcourt, my fun things that I did when I told them what my plans when I come to Nigeria, when I got the invitation, I said, in my luggage, I'm going to have 11 artists' work, okay? So can you get things ready, have the pedestal ready, whatever you need? So they said, they have to pretty much build a whole new museum for the work. So I said, you don't have to. So this is a new museum complex in Nigeria. We doing the ribbon cutting. We go through the whole thing just to have the museum opening. And it was such an amazing honor to be part of it, and also have the artwork of the 11 Texas artists being lead into the first 11 piece to live into that museum was so wonderful. And our Dan Hammond have his piece is one of our artists is one of the and Jeannie Marsh also have a piece in the museum. It was it combined with the 11 Nigerian artists travel all over to have the work in this museum, which really the idea does not develop in one day. It's through multiple conversations back and forth to come to how everything so perfectly fit in place in Nigeria. And for me, the Nigerian is all about the community, the people. People all, even they have very little in their home, they still invite you to eat in their house. Even though they are really, really not well off. And they even feed you with chicken that that the children will never have chicken for a long time, and they feed you with chickens, which I don't eat chickens. It's very funny because I think because they are the culture. I kind of more grown toward vegetarian, grown toward for my own health reasons, and so for what they're giving me is more than they can have. That make me feel very honest and loving those people or who they are. The people are such amazing when I get to know them. It's just that government official, the whole country overall is totally a different conversation at different days, but just getting to know those people. And funny thing is, I have to talk in front of I don't know how many people. I'm too tired to get exhausted to be scared when I never see that many people. To be in front of that many people and talk about not only about what I'm coming from, where I'm thinking, and also talk about some of the work. And goodness, I know some of the artists like Jeannie and Dan Hammond. If you want me to talk more about that work, I don't even know how to beginning to be their voice, to be in that area. So I think they record a lot of my lecture. I said, I better don't want to go back. And Dan and Jeannie probably don't want to hear what I have to say. I have many good things to say, but I said, wow, in front of that many people. And the fun things about my experience about Nigeria also, with this experience, they have all that professor at one point asking me questions. They said, they don't call me do. They are very professor, Chau, professor. They are not, because they are somehow very British-like. They will not allow to call you by your name. And so for them to have you, so they said, you don't answer any question until everyone asks your questions. I said, what? I didn't say that. I think internally. You think after 15 people ask me all the questions of professor, you think I remember every single one and answer every single one? My memory wasn't that great. But for somehow, because I was not at that panic at that time, I was very calm. Somehow I was able to, I thought, I don't think I can do this again, but I don't know how I did it. I can answer all the questions, go through back and forth, every one of them. But in reality, if you all going to do that to me in this room, believe me, I won't be able to answer your question. Think through, remember every one of yours. So that's there's no thanks with this video, but you can have it. So they make this video about the workshop. Some of Jeannie's piece. So you can see Nigeria is quite experienced. I mean, they up to I was supposed to continue with the next project the following years. It hit at 2020, which it never happened until now. Getting a visa to go to Nigeria is almost as challenging as it could be. Never easy. So the whole country, you don't see tourists hardly. It's more like when they see a visitor, they say, wow, how did you get to come? and they even have police. Everywhere I go, they have almost like a police coming with me. I have a person pretty much like my bodyguard, like next to me. Is like, wow, I never think about that, but just the environment, how we live in a country that we not have to be afraid of walking out, and it's a nice country. And when you live in a country, everyone out there with soldiers, with people holding guns, and you can see how. So you can see how blessed we are in this country that we live in, where we live. So I'm actually going to the last few slide imagery. Recently, my current work is through inspiration of botanical plants and how I'm inspired by the plants to make the work that I make. So this you can see. So this is fish mint. I make the work. This is a piece of I travel in Rome, Italy, inspired by the geometry, taking into the color and different idea. This is a piece with all the porcelain soldiers, and I titled the piece "Turns to Flowers." How to conglomerate this whole large soldier into flowers. And then I did this piece is unfinished sentences. I think everything is for me is ongoing, the process. And then I think I'm going to end here for this piece. So it's, if you need to have more questions, if you need to email me, you can. Otherwise, I think I'm open up for any questions that you have. Thank you.
So, does anyone have any questions or comments? And let me bring the microphone to you.
How did you end up at Alfred?
Very interesting questions. You know, it was a whole long story, long version of that. I took ceramic the second semester at Dallas College Book Haven campus. Robin Castor is a well-known ceramic artist. Came to Texas to recruit a student back to to Alfred. So they came to SMU. They went to all the different schools. And then I didn't know how. I went there for a scholarship for the summer workshop with John Gill and all that. And then as soon as I done that, they offered me the whole package. I practically didn't pay for anything to get there. And so years later, so I went to Alpha, get my obviously being a special student, getting my bachelor and my master degree. Why I'm still working in the hospital, because I'm able to do that. And later on, I asked Robin Castor, I said, how did they pick me to give me the money? My work wasn't the greatest, the second semester student. I shared with her one of my pot that I have to bury him now after when I got to Alpha. It looked so bad. And I said, how did I even get? And she said, dude, we went to all the school in Texas. Geographically, you're the only one person in Texas apply. And so geographically, they have to give me all that. So you can see, because I don't know, you asked me, I know nothing about Alfred that time, okay? You're just the second semester in ceramic, how do I know anything about Alfred? People say, you're not going to do well. It's going to be so challenging, you won't get any sleep. I completely go on the other reverse. It's a dream of my lifetime being at Alpha. I met amazing, all the professor caring, live next to Ben Howard. He's a writer that inspired me for some of my writing. Live near Val Cushion, who I love dearly, come visit my studio visit. You talk about all these people, all these humble and kind people surrounded with greatness. How do you not make good work when you have all these great people there? And how do you not having Wayne Higby said, you don't need to be in the studio 15 hours a day. You can just have a break, because I don't want to take a break. I want to learn from everybody, take it all in. Like this little sponge, I'm hungry for everything. I'm hungry to knowledge of glaze, I'm hungry to knowledge of hi-fi in the kiln, hungry for painting, drawing, printmaking. Like I want to learn everything, video. And then finally by my second semester, I think, I think you're not allowed to go outside the ceramic department anymore. You're done. After you graduate, you can, but for now, we already have off limit. So they said, no for you to go up to printmaking shop, no do for any other department but ceramics. But I think they are really they're very caring. I think they're right, because in one lifetime, you cannot learn everything. Even if I don't sleep, I cannot learn everything. That's a good question, a good one.
The minute I saw Memory 26,
Memory number 26.
It doesn't have.
closer to my mouth.
I can repeat her question.
When I saw Memory 26 up in the upper left corner, I instantly thought of Halong Bay.
Halong
Bay.
Oh, Halong Bay, yes. It is. It's a Vietnam, the map of Vietnam.
And maybe subconsciously it came to you in that piece, but that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I connect making my work of what I know about the map, the culture, the country. Like it or not, when we make art, what we learn are filtered in our subconscious, will filter through over time. So as much as I make work, people would kind of connect me to being an Asian American artist, Asian art right away. I said, I have no idea how that fit in, but culturally, your heritage, you cannot remove them. And I would love to embrace what I have versus, I think so. That's something that's a really good point. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to comment on your integration of science and art. I think that's wonderful. Your left and your right brain
Thank
just
you.
seems to fit very well. The other thing I wanted to ask, did you have to go back and relabel your different memories, or did you just keep them with the numbers?
I probably keep them if I have a documentation of them. If I have a document of imagery, I keep the memory, but I come back and put a parenthesis on. At the parenthesis, I actually incorporate the name in
you do
that
have-
parenthesis, because that way it make me, then I can really connect what memory number 2 is for what that memory, because each piece have its own story. And I think having a title, I can connect better with the story of the pieces.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to ask a question? Okay, well, I just want to say thank you. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Amy.
I'm sorry, I have lots of questions, but I'll limit it to 2. So you did your chemistry, all of the science before you went to Alfred?
Correct.
Okay.
Before.
I'm trying to imagine your life. Because you came here at 13 and you did, it boggles my mind how you were able to do all these things.
It's important to, I think I'm actually a better scientist after Alfred, because it helped me so much, because art asks questions that we routinely don't ask as scientists. And so in life, whatever we learn, they are all connected somehow. So I was, when I work in the lab, I routinely ask, why? Why are we doing that? Why? Because when you're taking care of patients, patient care is a wonderful thing to ask why. Because if you don't just do anything, and so I think that kind of integrate into what I'm doing with my art. Yeah, come.
Amy, any more?
Amy, come on.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
I just want to thank you, because listening to you today has made me challenge my own art. And I think that that's what is so nice about the artist community, is that we constantly challenge ourselves by the generosity of sharing within the artist community. So thank you.
Well,
This has been great.
No, I think it's good. See, I'm not always right. So I would love to have someone who disagree with me, and I often find that I learn something new when someone disagree with me. Yeah. And I never have that problem. I think disagree is good, and having a talk about artwork, because after all, art is sometimes it's like if you not know the language, it's like a foreign language. You have to learn from that moment. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else feel inspired? No? Well, I want to thank you again, Du, for coming to be our awards judge for the member show. You did an amazing job. You did a very thorough, careful, thoughtful selection. He was here for over 2.5 hours. He really gave so much attention and time and thought, and that was just really generous of you. And also for being here today, taking the time to be here and to speak with us. It's really been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.